this Hearings Committee meeting. I declare the meeting open. Welcome everyone to this meeting of the Hearings Committee. Please let me know if any of you need to leave the meeting early. I note that we have some councillors in attendance who aren't members of the committee. Just a reminder to let me know if you would like to participate in the discussion. Just a reminder that the meeting is being recorded and will be uploaded to the Masterton District Council YouTube channel. I call on any members to declare conflict of interest that they may have in relation to items on the agenda. No one? Apologies. We have an apology.
It's Ra.
Yep.
Yeah, Ra Smith.
I move the motion that the Hearings Committee accepts the apology for non-attendance from EB Representative Ra Smith. I have a seconder. Careful. Be careful. I now put the motion which has been moved and seconded. Those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Those against, say no. Motion is carried. We have reports for decisions today, being the one item on the agenda to receive the submissions received on the Easter Sunday shop trading policy review and to make a recommendation to council on the proposed Easter Sunday shop trading policy. I'll now hand over to the policy manager Narissa and the policy advisor Sophie to present the report.
Tēnā koe, Chair. Kia ora tātou. As part of the deliberations meeting format, we'd like to run through a brief presentation that mirrors the deliberations report. It will be presented by myself and Sophie Bradley, who has led this policy review. I'll just keep going while our slides start working. So the content that we will be covering in the presentation slides is to firstly run through the purpose of this policy and its requirements under the Shop Trading Hours Act 1990. Next, we will cover the drivers for review, what the policy can and cannot do, the review process that we followed and proposed options going forward and next steps. So the Easter Sunday Shop Trading Hours Act, it provides for restricted trading days, including Easter Sunday. The Act enables councils to adopt an Easter Sunday shop trading policy to allow Easter trade on Easter Sunday. Masterton District Council chose to have a policy in place in 2017, which covered the whole Masterton District. Covering the whole Masterton District enables consistency across the retail sector and avoids confusion of who can and can't trade on these days. Councils are responsible for reviewing their policies if they have one in place. The enforcement of this policy is through MB. So once we review the policy, MB does the enforcement role. Our review was due to be undertaken in 2022. And as I said in the previous slide, once you have a policy in place, the Act stipulates a review period, and this review period is within 3 years. The special consultative procedure comes into play for this policy. So for whatever we're doing with it, whether it's amend the policy, revoke the policy, replace it, or continue without amendment, we need to follow the special consultative procedure. The intent of the policy review timelines was to try and make sure that we adopt and have this policy in place in advance of it this year. And now I'm going to hand over to Sophie for the next few slides.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Narissa. Tēnā koutou. I'm going to talk through, so if we don't have a policy, there are set criteria of the types of shops that can open on Easter Sunday. These include dairies, service stations, food takeaways, restaurants, souvenir shops, pharmacies and garden centres and the like. So there is still a few that can open. The main types of shops that can't open are retailers. So we can have an Easter shop trading policy to permit trade on Easter Sunday as it applies to the whole district or just to parts of it. All shop employees will maintain the right to refuse to work on Easter Sunday without providing a reason to their employer. Our policy cannot permit shops to only open for some purposes, so we can't just choose to permit shoe shops to open on Easter Sunday. Permit only some types of shops in one area to open, so that's putting a parameter in and then saying only shoe shops can open in there. Specify times at which shops may or may not open. They can open at any times they wish, or include any other conditions as to the circumstances in which shops in the area may open. So that might be they can have certain signage or making them pay a fee to open. You can't do that. We also can't enable shops to open for the sale and supply of alcohol. That is regulated under the Sale and Supply of Alcohol Act. So it's our scope. So what is our mahi? What have we done to date? Our review began in October 2022 with desktop research looking across councils who recently consulted on their Easter Sunday trading policy, like Hauraki Council. And we started developing our consultation materials. In November 2022, you'll remember we took some advice to you and the council agreed that to consult with the community on the preferred option of continuing with the policy. Then we undertook our community consultation and we developed a statement of proposal, which you would have seen. This was available online and print. And some further details of this is outlined on page 7 of the report. We promoted it through print media, face-to-face. We did a walk around the CBD with Business Wairarapa. We promoted it via email to businesses and to some of our religious groups. We promoted it by social media, radio, some online advertisements, and some further reach information is included in the report. We received a total of 32 submissions from 32 submitters during the consultation. Just to refresh ourselves, these are the 3 options that we consulted on. We consulted on leaving the policy as is. It means that all shops will be able to open on Easter Sunday in the whole of the district. The other option was to make changes to the policy to only allow certain areas to open, and the other option was to revoke the policy. So only the types of shops listed in the Shop Trading Hours Act would be allowed to open. So where did we land with our submissions? Our community said that they agreed with our preferred option, that we continue the policy without amendment or with what we're proposing today. 18 submitters supported the policy, leave the policy as is, and the main reasons they put were supporting the retail and tourism sector and freedom of choice. 12 submitters did not support the policy. They wanted people to be spending time with their family and friends, and noted their religious beliefs or other people's religious beliefs as their reasons. We had 2 submitters that indicated that we should make changes to the policy, and these 2 submissions really related to having no restrictions on any kind of religious days. So it was kind of a broad stroke, like we shouldn't have restrictions on any sort of religious holiday. So this means these are the options from most to least preferred as outlined in the report. So you'll see that the continue the policy without amendments is the top, revoke the second, and the last. We also, in providing our recommended option today, we also considered, just need to go to the next slide, the impacts on the Masterton district retail sector. I'll just on that. As you'll see on page 9 of the report, the retail sector makes up about 11.6% of those employed in Masterton, and it's the 4th highest employment sector in our district. Easter events, we've got the Wairarapa Balloon Festival coming up this Easter, which brings in lots of visitors to our region. Easter is a day of significance. This was noted in the submissions as well and noted in our report too. Impact of the pandemic, we know that lots of our local businesses have been impacted and our communities have been impacted by ongoing COVID restrictions. And then we've just added in the economic pressures, especially since Cyclone Gabrielle last week. We know there's going to be even more pressures on our communities and the cost of living. So what's this all telling us? So, as outlined on pages 9 and 10 of the report, There are advantages and disadvantages for each option. So if we were to continue the policy without amendment, which is the community preferred option, it provides more options for locals and visitors to shop locally. Applying to the whole of district avoids confusion. Under the Act, workers can choose not to work on Easter Sunday and shops can still choose not to open on Easter Sunday should they wish to. There's some disadvantages with this, and some of this came through in the submissions. Although workers can opt out of working on Easter Sunday, they may feel pressured to work on this day, and then obviously not respecting Sunday as part of the Christian calendar. The second option is to revoke the policy. This takes away the pressure on workers to work on Easter Sunday, and also talks to the Easter Sunday is an important day in the Christian's calendar, which aligns with the submissions, the feedback we got from our community. Some of the disadvantages of that, obviously, is only trade that is can open on Easter Sunday, so that would disproportionately impact retailers and businesses relying upon the tourist trade over the long weekend may be disadvantaged or will be disadvantaged. And the least popular option was to amend the policy around having just parts of the district identified, and this only those parts would benefit. And the disadvantages of that would be it would likely to create confusion across our district. And obviously, for example, if we were just going to specify our CBD, there would be quite a lot of other retailers on the outskirts of Masterton that would be impacted. So say if we did do the CBD, retailers like Masterton, the Warehouse, Urban Naturals, Books and More would not be included. So that's just something to consider there. So our recommended option we were landing to today, if you haven't already realised, is that we'd like to continue. We recommend that the Hearings Committee recommends the option to continue with the policy without amendment, allowing Easter Sunday shop trading across the whole of the district. We consider that the advantages outweigh the disadvantages, and the option aligns with our community feedback. Any policy would maintain the workers' rights to refuse to work, and obviously shops can still close on Easter Sunday should they wish to. Some minor changes are proposed to style and formatting and the new branding, which you'll see in the appendix of the report. In addition, we have updated the shop employees' right to refuse to work section of the policy to better align with what's set out in the Act. I'll hand over to Marissa.
Thanks, Sophie. So next steps for us is if the Hearings Committee today endorses the recommendations in this report, the policy will go to Council for adoption at its meeting next Wednesday. Then following adoption, we've just outlined some of the things that we do at an officer level just to promulgate the new policy and to advise employers so they have time to advise their employees ahead of Easter Sunday. I'll hand back to the chair now. Kia ora.
Thank you, Narissa and Sophie, for presenting to them. Are there any questions to the report? No? Thank you. Sorry. Councillor Leonard.
Thank you. I'm not sure if you'll have this information, but how many shops other than those would, if the policy was revoked, number of cafes, restaurants, garden shops are entitled to stay open? How many other than that actually open on that Easter Sunday? Do we know that?
No, we don't know the exact numbers offhand, but we can follow up and get to you on that.
Well, sorry, I should have stood up. Is there a difference why we have no policy for Easter Friday, but we can Sunday? What's the thinking behind that?
I believe the Act allows trading on Good Friday.
It does.
So it's only Easter Sunday with the restriction. It's still a public holiday, Good Friday, but you can still trade. Whereas Easter Sunday is treated differently. Is that your understanding too?
But you can. Okay. And just, have we had any reports of employees feeling pressured to work on Easter Sunday?
Some of that, so there were some notes in the submissions around that, and when we spoke with First Union, they did note that some workers have felt pressured to work, and that's what was noted there as well. Yeah, it's mainly anecdotally.
And just lastly from me, on every other Sunday of the year, it's all retailers are entitled to be open.
It's my understanding if they choose to.
Thank you. Any other questions? Thank you. The recommendation in the officer's report is that the Hearings Committee, 1, notes the Easter Sunday shop trading policy, is due for review under Section 5C of the Shop Trading Hours Act 1990. 2, notes consultation with the community on the Easter Sunday shop trading policy took place between 10th of November 2022 and 12th of December 2022. 3, receives 32 submissions received for the Easter Sunday shop trading policy consultation, and notes results of the consultation indicated that the community's preference is to retain the policy with no substantive amendments. 4, notes that the hearing was cancelled as there were no submitters who wanted to be heard. 5, recommends to Council at its meeting on the 1st of March 2023 that it A, continues the Easter Sunday shop trading policy without amendment, and B, makes the minor changes to the Easter Sunday shop trading policy. I will now move the motion being the recommendation in the officer's report.
Second.
Councillor Cavill? Yeah, Cavill, sorry. The motion is now open for debate.
Thank you, Chair. It's my opinion that the freedom of choice part of the whole thing to me is what sways me. I believe that the should be freedom of choice. It's not as if you're making anybody open. So I'm quite happy to stay the way we are.
Anyone else want to speak?
And thank you. Interestingly enough, Easter Sunday is a Christian celebration, and it's important to recognise people's beliefs and faiths and also diversity, but also too to point out that Christianity represents now less than 32% of our population. So if we're going to acknowledge one faith, we should acknowledge all. But I think it comes down to choice as well. If people can do what they want on days that are special to them, to celebrate events that are important to them, and this act gives people choice.
So anyone else would like to speak? I now put the motion. All of those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Those against? The motion is carried. I would like to thank you. That is the conclusion of our meeting.